In this video, I do an unboxing of Primal: The Awakening. But before we get into today's video, just want to share with you what the GGGGs are for this month. Each month, Bob the Beholder picks some of my Patreon supporters to receive gratitude gifts. And for this month of July of 2024, we have 3 RPG spell stat trackers from Monster Gaming, which is having its Kickstarter right now. And we have $100 going towards a crowdfunding campaign, which my Patreon supporters are currently voting upon. Go ahead and use the link below to go to my Patreon page where you can find out more information on how you can get in on potentially receiving one of the gratitude gifts. So I know I'm a little bit late to the party, as I know a lot of people have already received their pledges from this Kickstarter that has delivered. Now it's been a couple of months, but Reggie Gaming reached out to me because I actually didn't pledge this game, and they reached out and asked if I would be interested in doing a review video of this game for their upcoming reprint Kickstarter that's going to be happening in September. Now, I've heard a lot of good things about this game and the fact that it is actually better than the Monster Hunter game, that this boss battler is really good. So I jumped in on that and agreed to make a review video that I'm going to be posting in a couple of months right before the Kickstarter launches. But in the meantime, I wanted to go ahead and do my own unboxing because I don't actually know everything that came in these giant 2 boxes. I think this is the all-in pledge. I'm not 100% sure, but let's go ahead and see what's inside. So typically I usually go to a different camera angle, but what I'm going to do, because these boxes are so big, it's really hard to actually get a close-up camera angle on them to see what's in these boxes. So I'm just going to go ahead and open these up, pull out the bigger boxes, and then switch camera angles once everything is out of these boxes. So first thing is this double-sided neoprene mat. So this is the base box. Push that aside. As I'm opening up this box, I do want to share that last night, my gaming group, one of my gaming groups, we actually started a campaign, the long campaign of this game. So I did play my first game of this last night, and we were actually planning on playing the game since my gaming buddy actually backed this. So I think this is the cards box. And I am excited to have my own version of it because I want to paint up all of the miniatures. Check that out. This is the Tome of Creatures. I think this is an art book. And these are a bunch of expansions. This is the Train box, the Venom expansion, 2 more heroes. Additional heroes, more of these. So I'm going to go ahead and pull each of these out, and we'll go to a different camera angle to open up these boxes. I will take a closer look at this. And in the meantime, my initial thoughts is I really do like the game a lot. And after our first initial playthrough, we were going to decide whether or not we wanted to do the shorter 3 monster campaign or go for the full 11 monsters. And after having played it once, we all liked it enough to say, okay, let's go ahead and invest in the full 11 monster campaign. So excited about that. And one of the things I want to show you is I did go ahead and print out a cheat sheet. This is fan made from Board Game Geek. And the fact that it is 6 pages long shows you that there are a lot of rules in this game. But I hear that once you play through a couple of times that you do get the rules down, but it will take a few playthroughs to get and absorb all of the rules. So let's go ahead and check this out while I cut the shrink wrap. Here's the back. I will never look at the back again because once I open this up and store everything, you probably don't want to flip this thing upside down. Everyone is complaining about how huge this box is because it just is not going to fit in your typical Kallax storing shelves. So you do need to reserve a different spot if you do have the calyx shells from IKEA that many people do, including myself. And Osworn was guilty of this as well, having way too many boxes, tons of plastic that was unnecessary. And so I'll wait and see if I can reduce this down to a single box. So right off the top is all of the bosses that come with the base game, as well as the 4 hero miniatures. So this is the beginning boss that we fought last night, and this is sort of the introductory scenario. But I'm looking forward to painting these, even though they aren't like massive models, because if you take a look at the heroes are actually pretty small. They're smaller than 28mm, I would say, and that's because they want to give you the scope of how large these monsters are. So I wish these were a little bit bigger as heroes, but it'll make it easier to paint. And I think this is the final boss. It's the biggest miniature, and he's what's on the cover. But a lot of this texture will make it super easy to dry brush, so I typically use craft paint. I don't usually use contrast colors with things that have a ton of texture like this, and when they're really large models like this, I will go ahead and just prime it either dark brown or black, and then just dry brush it. So these look super cool, super fun. And I'm looking forward to painting them. One of the things that really worked for me with Osworn was that we would pick, because in Osworn you sort of know which boss you're going to fight next. After we ended a scenario, I would know for the following week that I would need to paint up one of the bosses that we were going to face. So it would spoil it a little bit for me, but it was just a great way for me to be able to paint the bosses as we were encountering them, rather than needing to paint the whole box all at once. Now this is a little bit different, because with the campaign you can pick what path you're going to go on, and that sort of determines which of these bosses that you're going to fight. So it's not quite as linear, or the order of the bosses, as it is in Oathsworn. So what we'll have to do is just make our choices at the end of the night's gameplay, and then I'll know which one of these that I'll need to paint up for the next gaming session. So I think that'll work. So this is actually the board, but obviously I'll be using the neoprene mat. I'm not 100% sure what that is. And then my friend Max, who we played his copy of the game last night, since I was going to do an unboxing today, he mentioned that these cards are a little bit flimsy, and he ended up laminating them. So let's see how thin they actually are. They are a little bit thin, but it's a nice quality linen paper. So I actually don't think I'm going to laminate them, because last night as we were playing, it was a lot of glare on it because of the laminate being glossy. So it was a little bit harder to see. So even though these are thin, it's not really thick cardboard, I don't think it'll get destroyed, because this is a pretty high quality linen paper. So I don't think I'm going to laminate mine. Oh, it's something secret. Do not open until instructed. This is the rule book, and the quest book is here as well. I heard that from everyone that the rule book is done really well, and that they consulted with King of Average. And because of that, it has an excellent index, and the rulebook makes intuitive sense. So I'm glad that they consulted, because, like I mentioned before, ton of rules. And then these are all of the crafting stations that you will unlock. And last night we unlocked the Herbalist level 1, in addition to, what was the other one? The Fireforge level 1. Now one of the things I noticed is that the back is a exact copy of the front. One of the things I think I'm going to do is copy off all of these items, the actual cards, and maybe try to fit it and stick it on the back, because you know, you don't know what a Hatrox potion does, even though you know what elements you need to craft it. So instead of digging through and trying to find the card, having a quick reference of all of these items and what they do with these cards, I think, is the way to go. Maybe someone already made a reference card like that, reference sheet, so I'll have to check on BGG, but I usually like to make these reference cards. That just makes it a little bit faster to be able to know what you are forging together, what you're crafting. This is the campaign sheets. These are all of the tokens. This is the 2D terrain, which I'll just use for reference when I paint my 3D terrain pack. These are the tarot size cards. I'm not going to be opening these up because I'll wait until I'm ready to stick it in the box. These are the smaller cards. Some separators. These are the equipment cards. Very Kingdom Death Monster-ish in terms of these square cards, although these look bigger. More card dividers. And this is the beginning of the cards. So monster ability cards that are happening here. So this is going to take a long time to organize and to sleeve. But I am absolutely glad that they included the card box, because I did look into 3D printing storage solution options, and the ones that they have, fan-made ones, or the cards all go on the bottom, line the bottom of this box, this deep box, and all the miniatures go on top. And I would hate to have to reach down in here to grab the cards. So I'm totally glad that there is a separate box and I can devote all of the miniatures to go into here. Alright, so this is the card storage box. I wonder why it's so heavy. Oh, it's heavy because of all the sleeves. So I asked Max how long it took, and he said basically forever. So I like sleeving while I'm watching something on TV. So that's probably what I will do, is to go ahead and do this. I did see on BGG that a couple of people did use binders with all of the equipment cards. That way, you know, you can use the unlocked shop and then have the equipment cards right behind it so that you can reference it that way. But I actually don't think I'm going to do that, since I'm just going to scan and copy a little reference sheet onto each one of the shops. That way I can just keep all of this. I do wish that we could separate out each of the heroes so that each hero had their own box of all of their cards and equipment and stats. So little safe boxes. So I might 3D print that out. That way one person isn't constantly needing to grab that for everybody. But we'll see. We'll wait and see. And I don't think I'm going to sleeve all of the cards. Only the ones that you shuffle. But again, we'll wait and see. Alright, next up, Nightmare Expansion. So I think each one of these is just going to be more the same. And what I really like is that each one of these is incorporated into the base campaign, so that you can play the campaign without the expansions, but you can also choose to... you don't have to do anything special in order to incorporate these extras, these expansions, into the campaign. So I think that's great. So check these out. That's like a buggy guy, a turtle, spiky turtle, almost like a dinosaur here. And I'm really curious to see how different each of these monsters feel from one another. Because with the expansions, you're getting more than twice the number of monsters that you will ever see, because you're going to see 11 monsters potentially with each campaign. Let's see, for the Tarrasque. Wait, why are there... Oh, look at this. There's two different forms. There's the Zekath and then the Zekalith. So I wonder why there's two different forms. So I was going to just paint according to whatever art there was, but yeah, which one do I pick to paint it with? So we'll just wait and see. Whereas the Tarrasque, I think there's just one version of that. Yeah, I think most of the monsters there's just one version. So the Zekalith must have different stats. So that's sort of cool. Here is the ice expansion. And I'm actually a little bit glad that you get to know sort of which monsters provide which resources. So if you do need ice, then you know which monster you want to focus in on and fight. So like all the other ones, there's 3 levels of the Ice Forge. And then in this, there are 2 monsters. And then there is ice terrain. And here are the ice monsters. Yeah, I mean, look at all this plastic. There's so much plastic going on here that there's no way I'm keeping all of this packaging. But we'll be consolidating. This is the Feather expansion. So I wonder if there's 3D versions of all of these expansion terrain. Honestly, I would be surprised if there was. See, these aren't unmanageable in terms of size. They're actually relatively not that huge. Not as big as the Oathsworn models. Now I know that there's more of these than there are the Oathsworn models. But it makes it less daunting, honestly, to paint them when they're not massive. Let's do the terrain box next, since I'm curious to see. So I don't think, when I look here, I don't think it has the expansion terrain, because I don't see any ice. So who knows? I'm not 100% sure. I'll see on GGGG how other people painted. Maybe they painted up some of these rocks to be ice. But we'll see. I really like the 3D terrain. Alright, the Venom expansion. This looks super cool. Alright, check this out. This is a big snake. Oh, look how chunky and fat that snake looks. And then whatever this thing is. That's cool. Alright, last box. Mount Havoc expansion. And this is a character I played and will be playing in my campaign. Hellerin. And then the other is Kara, the dual blade. So after my first game, I really feel like I want to master her style of gameplay. I feel like it's going to take at least like 3 battles for me to really figure out what it means to play a character. And the cool thing is I do think you can swap out characters in the middle of the campaign. So once I master that, I do want to do that, because with Oathsworn again, I did find it interesting to switch and try different characters. So I think that is super cool. So all the ability cards, weapons cards. But yeah, again, Look how much content there is, and look how massive this box is. And then this is, I think you need this in order to play the 3-chapter shortened campaign. Final thing is the art book. Let's check this out. Has full page pictures. And then some flavor text of each of the areas that you're in. So that's cool. So I can use this book as a reference while I am painting each of the monsters. Oh, look at that. It even shows you the fauna. Oh, that's cool. I wonder if there's a bonus if you can collect the entire set like there is in video games. Make a comment below if you know the answer to that, if you get any bonus for completing one of these equipment sets. Awesome. Alright, look at this massive number of boxes. Hopefully, challenge accepted. I can consolidate most things down into this base box, especially since we have a dedicated card box here to the side. But we will see whether or not I am successful in doing that. Please like this video and subscribe, as I'll be coming out with my gameplay review that will release right before the launch of the second reprint Kickstarter. I don't know 100% if they're going to have any new material, new gameplay material for that second campaign, but know for sure that they're going to be reprinting all of this, and I'll be able to tell you whether or not it's worth it to pick up all of the expansions, whether or not it's good to go all in, or whether the base box actually has enough playable material to keep you happy for a long period of time. So make sure to stay tuned as I come out with that review in a couple of months. In the meantime, I'm going to be not only consolidating, but also painting up, hopefully, all the miniatures, just like I did with Oathsworn, and I'll also show you that later as well. Again, use the link below to go to my Patreon page if you want to get in on this month's GGGGs. Otherwise, happy gaming. We'll see you next time.